Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. Today's exciting episode, I am making a mock-up of Vogue 8991, and I like the cuffs on this one, and that's about it.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
So I was going to do a Burda one next, but then as I was doing last episode, I caught a glimpse of the cuffs of these and I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do that Vogue one for ages. I kept putting it off because it's a quilting one. You're supposed to quilt the silk to the tweed, and it just, yeah, if you've seen any of my previous episodes, you'll know that's not the way I roll, just because I like my jackets to actually last. But anyway, yeah, this is one of those patterns. If you like making jackets, like doing patterns that have like hundreds of different instructions, and yeah, this is one for you. It's not my cup of tea at all, but I did want to try a three-piece sleeve. So I thought I would try it for that reason and pretty much that reason alone. A couple of things that I like straight up, I will full disclosure, I don't like several things about this. The quilting isn't for me, and also so this is a three-piece sleeve and I do like that, so I've laid them out so you can hopefully understand it, because the pattern doesn't help and the instructions certainly don't help. But you can see there's two outer pieces, and the third piece, they put that in there so that you can construct the whole three pieces and then put in the interfacing, sort of like an inside cuff, so that last seam up together. So I've pinned the three pieces together, but I've left open one seam, which, yeah, you sort of have to sew together all three pieces, and then you have to sew on the inside cuff, or they call it the interfacing. In dressmaking you would probably normally call it facing. And then once you've done that, so here we are, I've pinned them all together, and then I also pinned all the pieces of the torso or the bodice together, and I'm just sewing the long seams. So this is the sleeves, see, all three parts. I've machine sewn the long seams, and now the next step for the sleeve is to turn it over and put that facing on. They call it interfacing, but if you're looking at it from dressmaking point of view, it's a jacket, it's not dressmaking. But if you are, then this would be facing is the more term you're more familiar with. And then you just pin it into place, and it's pretty clear where you have to sew for that one. And then with the jacket, once you sew all the bits together, obviously you have to iron your seams open, and then you just pin the top back and the top front together so we can make the shoulders. So I'm going to do that now. And when you're constructing it, because they want you to quilt, then there's a very different way of constructing it, but we're just making a mock-up to see if the actual jacket fits. So it's a completely different construction method. So I machine sewed the shoulders, and so now we have an entire torso of the jacket, or bodice of the jacket. And this is for an AB cup specifically. And you're supposed to, at this point, put pockets on, but they're weird. They're not at chest height, and they're not at, normal pocket height. They're sort of saggy bust height. If you have really, really, really small chest and you're very self-conscious about it, then I can sort of see why you might do chest pockets. But these saggy, baggy, lowest chest pockets, I don't know who they flatter. I just do not know. Anyway, so I find that the torso has a few problems with it. Because as I said, you're supposed to quilt the silk lining to the outer jacket, so to the tweed, and with the lining you're supposed to put darts in it, and then you're supposed to sew that to the tweed. So you end up sort of cinching in sections of the tweed simply because the lining is smaller than the outer jacket. Confusing, completely confusing. And yeah, so you basically can't get a proper fitting mock-up. I suppose you can just put the darts in the cotton fabric and get an idea, but it's not the same because the lining has the darts in it, but your outer jacket is just sort of scrunched in. So it's a bit different. But yeah, if you're fitting it to yourself, then I guess put the darts in I'm going to pin some pins in at the end once I finish the whole jacket. So the next step is to add the collar to that one or finish the neckline, but I'll show you the sleeves first because I did them. So I put on, machine sewed on that facing, and then I sewed that last of the 3 seams. Then I turned it in the correct way, and I do like these cuffs. They're too bulky, but I like the idea of them, so I think I'll rework the sleeve and put it on a Vogue 7975. But yeah, let's leave the sleeves for now because they're made. Now the next step is to do the collar, and if you've seen the jacket, like a man who does not like women yeah, designed this jacket because it's got this teensy tiny collar which makes you look bigger, and it's got these saggy baggy pockets that are sort of bring down your chest, or yeah, I don't know. Anywho, at first I couldn't be bothered reading 8 pages of instructions. And yeah, at first I was like, how does this collar go on? And then I figured it out and I was like, I have to do what now? So I'm not doing a collar. I just machine sewed a line and it's going to be collarless. Sorry about that. But this jacket is so, it's really... It's, you know, in the 50s when they made, next I'm setting the sleeves. And for a 3-piece sleeve, like on Pinterest, they have different types of sleeves. And they always talk about, you know, how great a 3-piece sleeve is for a Chanel style jacket. And yeah, I thought it would be better. It doesn't, like, I'm really good at setting sleeves, and this is not a good sleeve. Conceptually, I like the cuff, but yeah, the shoulder of the sleeve, a complete and utter disappointment. I kept it one of the Vogue 7975s. That one with the lines, the pretty jacket in the tweed, is a Vogue 7975. I have cropped it because I'm short-waisted. I cropped it, so I'm just sort of showing you the cuff here. It is a good cuff, but this is only in cotton and it's bulky at the moment. If you made this in tweed, it's just, facings don't work when you work with a non-fashion fabric. Just as a reminder or clarification, see how I've added a second piece of fabric around here? So what that means is once you machine sew it, you actually have 4 layers. You have 2 bits of seam allowance and you have 2 bits of fabric. Whereas on the nice jacket on the right there, with the little lines on it, that's just tweed. And instead of adding facing to the inside of the cuff to make the hem, you just turn up the hem, and so it's just a nice smooth cuff and it's not extra bulk around your wrist. Whereas with this pattern here, so you know how you have to put darts in the back, I've just pinned pins in so you get a rough idea of the silhouette of what it's going to look like. And yeah, so this one here, you turn up the hem, and whereas this one, Vogue 8991, you add a facing to the bottom of the jacket and you add a facing to the cuffs, and it just bulks it out. Like, who wants extra bulk on their hips? Who wants their wrists to look chunky? It's just a bizarre pattern. But also the back, like the back of the Vogue 7975, the one on the right, is just, it's got princess seams and it's beautiful and it's so well fitted. If you want a less fitted one with more ease, then this gold jacket here I made using discontinued McCall's one, but you can buy that on eBay. And it's just, it has ease, but it also sort of sculpts around your shoulder blades, goes in at the natural waist and out again at the hips. It's got a really beautiful shape. Whereas this one, I mean, I'm not doing it justice. You do have to pinch it in a little bit, but yeah, I don't know how you get a good proper fit on this one, because the silk, when you do the darts on the silk, it's not the same. And then you sort of just scrunch in the tweed to fit it. It's yeah, it's not the same. I guess you would just put in the darts, but yeah, I'm not going to bother, obviously. And I also there's just nothing I like about this. And the front, it's actually a crossover, so it's got, you're supposed to put buttonholes in there, buttons and buttonholes in there. And personally, I don't feel that you should ever put buttonholes in tweed, because it's a loosely woven fabric. It's not designed to be scarred, which is putting a buttonhole in is called scarring. It works on wool fabrics or, you know, suiting fabrics, but just me personally, the way that tweed is made is so luxuriant, and the simpler the jacket pattern that you use for it, in my opinion, the more you can showcase the true beauty of a tweed. But yeah, this is a really fiddly, pinicky, yeah. If you like doing lots of precise things and you don't particularly mind whether it's a flattering result, then this is a good pattern. It's got literally 8 pages of tiny writing, hundreds of different instruction points that you have to follow, and it's written in a way to confuse and confound. So there are definitely people who like those, you know, jigsaw puzzles, but yeah, I was a little disappointed with it. I am going to keep the 3 pieces of the sleeve out. I think I'll stick them together, then cut them up again, and yeah, just try and make it a better sleeve. And I feel like if you could make it work with a hem rather than a facing, I would be interested. I think it will work better as a 2-piece sleeve, in my opinion, with maybe, yeah, I don't know. The top of it doesn't work for me at all. So I'll just get out my Vogue 7975 pattern and modify the cuff of it rather than using this sleeve. Yeah, I'll just sort of use the details of the bottom of it and work from that, if you get what I mean. Because I really, conceptually, I really like it, but it's just not working at the moment. And I certainly don't like the top part. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting exercise. As I was doing it, I was like, okay, this is what I do not like. Oh, and I do like that the undersleeve is high. See, these are from the late 1940s, and the undersleeve is very low or saggy baggy, which was very traditional for the time. So yeah, it's got a high undersleeve, but even that, the Vogue 7975 does a high undersleeve better. You get more move if you care about being able to move your arms a lot in your jacket, then I would definitely recommend the Vogue 7975 first. Actually, I know some of you get sick of me recommending that, which is totally fair enough. The Burda 6123 is a super easy one. It's a dolman sleeve, which means the sleeve and the body of the jacket are cut in one piece. So you've got front left, front right, and back. It's just a 3-piece jacket. It's a pretty decent one, and yeah, but it is quite simple. If you want something very complex, then this is the jigsaw puzzle for you. I'm not sure you'll like the finished product, but it's definitely a difficult, like there's lots of steps and it's very complex. So if that's what you like from a sewing puzzle, then it's a good pattern for that. But yeah, I don't like recommending anything that will make people give up on making their own jackets. So that's why I'm not a fan of this one. I always say start with the Vogue 7975. It teaches you what's good and bad about a jacket pattern, and then every other jacket pattern that you work with, you're like, oh, okay, this might not work, because it teaches you how to think through the design choices and the construction methods. That's what I like about it. So yeah, I'm glad I did it. It was interesting, and it's yeah. Even when you do a jacket pattern, like test out a jacket pattern that you don't like, I find that it makes me like, I don't like this shoulder because, I don't like the crossover front because, and I don't like having a inside facing on a cuff and a hem. I prefer an actual hem rather than bulking it up with a second piece of facing. So yeah, there you go. That is my mock-up of Vogue 8991. I apologize for not being more positive about it, but I feel like it's better to give you a realistic idea of what the pitfalls might be, or what the strengths and weaknesses might be. And yeah, I know some of you are really looking forward to seeing how this jacket was made up, so I'm sorry if you're disappointed, but on the bright side, you're not going to waste your beautiful tweed and your beautiful silk. You can save them for something else. So, yeah, Vogue 7975, Vogue 7975. No, do whatever you want. I just love, I can't wait to be that one on the end. It's going to have little bows on it, all different colours. It's going to be the cutest. It's going to be so cute. Anyway, so that's this mock-up done. I think the next one will be a Burda, now that I think about it, a Chanel style Burda. Or maybe not. It's a little bit too similar to this one. I might do a coat next. I've got this little hooded coat that also comes in a jacket length. Maybe I'll do that one. It looks so adorable. It's like the perfect winter jacket if you're in a super snowy, super cold place, but it's a nice winter jacket if you live in milder climates. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was useful, and yeah, happy sewing.